there's so much to talk about today in Bachelor Nation and Bachelor News, of course. So let's go ahead and start with an update from Queen Victoria herself. Now, she's speaking out about her time on Matt James's season. She actually stopped by Dear Media's Not Skinny But Fat podcast. Now, first of all, she revealed that she thought she was going to make it further than she did in the season. She also talked about how she was treated basically very unfairly and labeled a bully early on. She said it was so bizarre, but like it started from night one. Because even when I told that girl, oh, go talk to Matt, people were like, she's mean for that. I'm like, that wasn't mean. It was buildup of things that weren't mean. I was just categorized as such. I don't know. I do not understand not to call women names. Now, I gotta admit, she was the mean girl from the get go. She, earned that label very early on in the season. She had no remorse really for the comments and the name calling that she would make usually on a day-to-day basis whenever we would see her pop up and get that screen time. So Mariah, what did you think of these comments that she made where she usually just ends up playing the victim all the time?
That's exactly what I would say. I feel like every time Victoria has spoken about being called the mean girl or the bully of the season, she always tries to victimize herself and correct her actions. And it's like, girl, what show were you watching? Because we were not watching the same thing. Like, at least take ownership. That is what people appreciate more. And if you want to quit being categorized as a bully, just be like, you know what? I didn't realize, but I was being a bully. I never want to put women down. I'm making moves to move past that in the future and do better. And then everyone is going to be like, okay, we love Victoria now. But now it's like the only people who love you only love you because you're so ruthlessly awful. And like, I don't mean to put her down, but she does consistently victimize herself, which is just frustrating to watch happen over and over again.
100%. And I feel like she would have more respect, like you said, if she basically fessed up to the things that she did on that show, took accountability, but it just seems like she continues to fight back and say, I wasn't mean with those things I said or did. It wasn't mean, or people were taking it too seriously. It's like, just take accountability, take, your actions, and don't be in denial all the time, honestly. And I just feel like with her, it's such a hard case of really believing her, and she could have just taken all of that as a learning lesson and realized like, okay, the way that I was perceived on TV, it wasn't okay. Maybe there's something wrong with me. Maybe I shouldn't be acting like that or calling these girls names or being rude, X, Y, and Z. But now, as for why she was so blunt the entire season, she says she wasn't taking it seriously. Okay, this girl is really confusing me. She says, quote, I feel like a lot of the girls going on were careful about what they said or what they wanted to present themselves. Well, and like, I just wanted to have fun. Like, it's a show. I wasn't taking it seriously. And to emphasize how not serious she was, she revealed that she didn't even feel a strong connection with Matt James. So there's a lot going on in this quote, and she continues on to say, quote, I didn't personally have like that romantic spark or that like physical chemistry. I didn't feel it, so I was just like, okay, let's bring the queen. Let's just have fun with it. That's kind of how it was for me, end quote. Okay, and that was a lot of what she just said. It just seemed like she was very just kind of taking a lot of steps backwards, being kind of hypocritical in some of those statements where she wasn't taking it seriously, but then just played it up for the cameras. So it just makes us further believe that she wasn't being genuine. She was just trying to be a villain and just really kind of exaggerate herself just to make good TV. So I really don't know what to believe. There just seems to be so much back and forth with Victoria. What are your thoughts about this, Mariah?
I agree. I think we could tell that just from, I mean, before she even said any of this, right? Just watching her behavior on the show, being so nasty, but then being so emotional when she was called out on it, so emotional when she got sent home. And she definitely talked about her connection with Matt on like her private interviews. So this is all news to us. I mean, it's not because we all suspected she wasn't really there for the right reasons. We all suspected she was there to elevate her status in society, I suppose. But now her going and saying all of these things just kind of confirms it. I feel like she doesn't do anything to this point to help her case. She just kind of continues to make it worse and worse, but maybe that's what some people really like in Victoria.
Exactly. She just consistently keeps digging herself into a deeper and deeper hole, and it just seems like she can't really get out of it or be disassociated from her villain character that she herself created on the show. So it's hard for me to believe that she's trying to be genuine or really learn from her mistakes, or again play the
Mhm.
victim card and say like, oh no, that was all, a joking matter and all in good fun. All right, now apparently Victoria had Brie pegged as the winner, kind of like all of us expected. Victoria said, quote, when I got home, the way it was going, I thought Brie was winning. So even when I was home and people told me no, Rachel won, I did not believe anyone for like a month. She continues on to say, quote, I'm like, no, Brie won. Like, I think you got it wrong. There's no way Rachel's winning. I just thought his and Brie's connection was strong, end quote. Now, it seems like Victoria got one thing right, and it was that relationship that she thought was kind of being curated between Brie and Matt James, of course. And of course, Brie from the beginning was such a huge front runner. I mean, time and time again, we have said Brie and Matt's relationship was so solid. They seemed like they really got each other. Of course, we got to know Brie. She sacrificed a lot to come on the show. She quit her job, and she, came in full force, wearing her heart on her sleeve, and really connected with Matt. But of course, in the end, it kind of fell through. So it seemed like Victoria really did not believe that Rachel was the one instead that had won over Matt's heart. So this was very interesting. And again, it just seemed like the only thing that Victoria ended up predicting, which was correct, seeming like Brie had won. So, Mariah, what did you think of Victoria kind of reacting to who the true winner or true, I guess, love was for Matt?
It is really interesting to hear a cast member kind of give their predictions because they got to see things that we didn't get to see. They were around for things that were either not filmed or didn't make the cut. So I, for one, y'all know I was a big Brie fan. I definitely rooted for Matt and Brie, and then Michelle came along, and I kind of leaned a little bit more towards Michelle. But I never really saw Matt and Rachel. Like, I knew because of the rumors that she was going to make it far and then ultimately win, but I never really saw why. So her saying this kind of validates that. Someone who was in the house, who was up close and personal with all of this, didn't see it themselves. But it's also Victoria we're talking about, so she's not
Mm-hmm.
necessarily the most credible source, I feel. But it is really interesting to hear what her predictions were.
Definitely. And a really good point that you said, Victoria was living with these people. So she saw all the moments that didn't make it to air. And she kind of like joins the bandwagon of people who think it was Rachel that ended up having the strongest connection with Matt, vice versa. Like that decision is still kind of surprising to us still to this day. We still can't really understand why it was Rachel. Didn't really seem like they had those fireworks, that chemistry that we saw with Brie, Michelle, with Serena, most of the other girls. So again, a very interesting point made by Victoria, of course. And surprise, it seems like she's open to going to Bachelor in Paradise. Victoria said she thinks the producers love her. Well, I wonder why. I mean, she was a huge villain. She created a lot of drama. She curated a lot of it. So do you think that the producers would actually genuinely want her, especially after everything she put all the contestants through during that season? What are your thoughts, Maria?
I hate to say yes because I feel like she gave us enough, like enough toxic energy. And Matt's season was so heavy and just not about the love like at all that's I
Mm-hmm.
don't want her to be involved in Bachelor in Paradise because I enjoy Bachelor in Paradise. However, if there was a place for drama in any of the Bachelor franchise, it would be Bachelor in Paradise. So I think they will have her on. She'll definitely mix things up a little bit, heat up the conversations, create some tension. I don't think Victoria will stay very long because to stay on that show, you have to have a partner. I don't know out of anyone in Bachelor Nation or the Bachelor like alum who would be down for Victoria. And I'm sure there's a wonderful man out there somewhere waiting for her, but I'm having a hard time matchmaking her right now in my head. However, I do think producers will have her on because she's just interesting television. She really stirs a lot of drama up, and ultimately, that is, I feel like, the goal of the Bachelor franchise, which could be changing, right? Because we've had so many conversations about them creating like institutional changes and them not putting on the same show that they've always put on. So we really don't know what to expect. They could totally switch things up and give us a complete curveball.
Totally. And it's all about this rebranding that this Bachelor Nation, these Bachelor series are kind of doing. And it seems like if they were to bring Victoria back on, it would be a couple of steps backwards because, again, this has been done. I don't know if she's really changed her ways or learned the lessons that she needs to learn in order to be a better person and less of a mean girl and a bully. So I think I've kind of gone back and forth about this, whether or not it would be okay for her to for them to bring her back. And I don't think it would be a good move. I think, again, it would take Bachelor Nation a lot of steps backward if they were to bring her for Bachelor in Paradise. Again, it's been done. I feel like it's beating a dead horse at this point. I've said that before, and I think it still applies to this kind of situation. So I think it'll be interesting if they do bring her. I don't know if it's going to kind of turn off a lot of the fans because there was so much hate and negativity against Victoria and the way that she behaved. So I don't know. It's again this tricky balance of whether it's worth the ratings because she might bring up the ratings, she might bring down the ratings because the audience again is so turned off by her. So we'll just really have to wait and see until, of course, we get official word on ABC and what the heck they're going to do for this summer's Bachelor in Paradise season. And you guys, by the way, we are live right now. So please make sure to send us any questions, comments, concerns you guys have during this live. We will be sure to answer your questions and comments at the end of this video during our Q&A segment. And also, if you're new here, please don't forget to subscribe and ring the bell. We make videos on all things Bachelor Nation and, of course, anything entertainment news. So be sure to subscribe and ring the bell to be notified whenever we upload our videos and whenever we have a live stream. All right, you guys, next up, we finally know when Katie's season and Bachelor in Paradise are both going to air. ABC officially announced the news today. Katie's season, which is filming right now, of course, will be premiering on June 7th. I repeat, it will be premiering on June 7th. Bachelor in Paradise will follow up on August 16th, so just right after Katie's season wraps up. No word, however, on Michelle's season. Again, we're kind of pinpointing that it will be towards the end of this year where it will air. All right, so Mariah, we have the dates. The dates are set. Save the dates are out. There's been so much speculation surrounding Paradise specifically, so this is very exciting news. What are your thoughts?
I'm really excited. I think just recently we were talking about whether or not we thought Bachelor in Paradise was going to happen. And after a little bit of research, we were like, okay, I think so, because everyone is hell bent on making this happen. So I'm really relieved. I think you and I actually talked about, I said Bachelor in Paradise was my favorite. I
Mm-hmm.
preferred over Bachelor, Bachelorette. And I think you said you prefer the Bachelor, Bachelorette because you can focus on those one-on-one connections,
Right.
which I totally agree, but I just feel like I get over people and then there's an opportunity for them to meet someone new. So it's like never ending. So super excited. And of course, very, very excited about Katie and Michelle's season. And I'm glad that they're gonna get these experiences because COVID has taken so much from everybody. Just the year 2020 was so hard. So I think it's cool that they have found a way to make this work. And I think each season, or I guess, yeah, I guess each season is going to be a little bit better than the last because we're continually learning how to put on a good show.
Exactly. And again, great point. 2020, took away so many opportunities. So I'm happy this year we can finally get a Bachelor in Paradise and fans can kind of get that series as well. And of course, since we're going to have the two Bachelorette seasons, back to back, it's nice to kind of have that Bachelor in Paradise to break it up a little bit. In regards to the Bachelor season, again, that's kind of been put on the back burner. We'll probably have to wait till 2022 to even see the light of day for that or who might be a potential lead. So that's definitely something to be excited for. I know Bachelor fans are very excited as well for Bachelor in Paradise news. But I also wanted to ask you, Mariah, again, I'm not too familiar with Bachelor in Paradise, so I don't really know who's been on previous seasons, but who would you like to see on the beach this summer?
I would like to see a lot of the women from Matt's season because they had a COVID season. It'd be nice. Well, we're still kind of in the midst of COVID, I guess. So we can't say that, but they're still going to get a little bit more of an experience than they did from the experience they got through Matt's season. It was completely shadowed by so much controversy, and Bachelor in Paradise is supposed to be like a super fun experience with multiple people. It's an opportunity to not fall in love once, but maybe more than once. So I hope that for those girls. As far as specific people, I will say I have been I'm gonna forget his name. He was a super, super tall guy. He was from Hannah Brown season. What was his name?
Oh, I don't know.
Connor? I think it was
Maybe. I think
Connor.
okay, I think I know who you're talking
I
about.
need
Yeah.
people watching the live to confirm, but I think it was Connor. I had a big crush on him because I thought he was so cute, but also kind of dorky and just I don't know, just not what you would expect from someone who is that handsome and attractive. So I would like to see him come back, and I think he's single, so there's still plenty of fish in the Bachelor Sea. So specifically, I would like to see him come back. And if I got his name wrong, I apologize.
No, I think that's right. I think I know who you're talking about. And I agree with you as well. I think any of the girls from Matt James this season deserve a shot to be on Bachelor in Paradise. I think because that season had so many, it was like a roller coaster, it had so many ups and downs. I feel like those girls need their justice. They need a second chance. And I would love to see Brie on Bachelor in Paradise. I know I've kind of gone back and forth about whether she would do it or not. But I think she would be fun. I think this again would be a great opportunity for her to just again explore love, another chance at love, and kind of intermingle with the other Bachelor alums and stuff like that. So I think that would be a really good opportunity for her. Maybe Heather as well. You know, she was done so dirty during the women tell all. I mean, she was completely cut out. We just saw her blonde hair in the back. So I feel like hopefully maybe she might also get to explore an opportunity there for love. Again, a lot of weird edits in the Bachelor, Matt James Bachelor season, because of course Brie was also cut out of the After the Final Rose. So I think anyone who got edited out, I think I just need to see you guys on Bachelor in Paradise at this point for you guys just to get a second chance and to redeem yourself because the editors did you guys dirty. All right, you guys, we also want to know who do you want to see in Bachelor in Paradise? Make sure to let us know and also let us know if you have any questions, comments. We will be going over those at the end of this video during our Q&A segment. So make sure to leave those down below and we'll get to them very, very soon. All right, next up, we have to talk about the rumors that Matt James and Rachael Kirkconnel have reunited. Yes, people, they have pulled a Claire and Dale. They have reunited. Reality Steve shocked us all when he tweeted out, quote, "It's been a while, but here's some news. Matt and Rachael, yeah, they're not over. They're currently in New York together, FYI," end quote. There are also some pictures circling around of the two who definitely could, these two people actually, who could definitely be Matt and Rachael in Williamsburg, Brooklyn, but their backs are turned to the camera, so we can't officially confirm if it was them. But a lot of people are saying, yeah, it looks like them. I think it is them. Now, have you guys, or actually, Mariah, have you seen the pictures? Do you think it's them or just some sort of, look-alike couple, I'm assuming?
I haven't seen the pictures, but if the world is saying that it's them two, then I'm going to take their word for it because I it's not that I think it's completely far-fetched. I think it's definitely a possibility for them to have reconnected, but that being said, I still am really surprised because we all saw how awkward of an exchange it was during the after the final rose. It was uncomfortable to watch. It still seemed really
Mhm.
heavy, and that was not so long ago. So maybe they're just trying to reconnect as friends. I doubt it's anything romantic right now. But then again, I don't know because we've been surprised before with these Bachelor franchise couples. So maybe they have made amends or they're slowly trying to get back to something.
Definitely. And it seems like, again, like I said, they're pulling a Claire and a Dale situation. It might be the same situation, but obviously very different context as far as those two relationships and what has happened in regards to them, breaking up and getting back together. I did actually see the pictures and it does look like it is them too, because Matt has, of course, that tall frame. He's very physically tall and lean as well. And Rachel, the person had, brown hair and everything. It seemed like they matched up height wise. So it definitely does seem like them. And I believe the person was wearing a beanie as well. And of course, Matt's all about his beanie game right now, especially with the beard. So it definitely seems like it is them. And you know what? it's so hard to say because we don't really know the private conversations that happen behind closed doors and really where they are at with each other mentally and as far as reconciliation, because it's such a, again, a deep issue why they broke up. So I think as far as a time frame, it's so hard for us to know at what stage they're at as far as a reconciliation. Even if there is a reconciliation, it's so hard to say. So I think, you know what, maybe they're just talking it out. The dust has kind of settled. It's been a couple of weeks since the finale aired, after the final rose aired. So maybe they're just taking it a step at a time and seeing, now since the dust has settled, where do we stand? Is there potential for us to get back together? X, Y, and Z. So again, we'll just have to see if we see more sightings of them like we have been seeing of Claire and Dale, who basically, it's safe to say they're back together, Claire and Dale. But again, big question mark for Matt and Rachel, of course. Now, it was clear they had a real connection, but after the final rose, like I said, it was a couple of weeks ago. It was March 15th. And like you also mentioned, Maria, the emotions on that stage and the interview afterwards, there was, a lot of uncomfortable silences, and again, those long pauses that we cannot forget, because again, that situation was still so fresh. So this feels like a major curveball, seeing, pictures of them together. So do you think, with the public eye, the public perspective we've seen of this relationship, private conversations aside, do you think there is a strong potential of these two getting back together and making it work?
If I go off of what we all saw from after the final rose alone, then no. I had no prediction of them figuring it out and getting back together later on. I really didn't. I thought that chapter was long closed and sealed tight. But then again, we don't have all the information. We don't know what private conversations they have. I'm sure they had a conversation following after the final rose, right? I mean, especially now, I feel like that's obviously the case because these photos have surfaced. But I think that kind of is the leading cause for us to believe, like, of course they have set aside some differences, whether it's romantic or they're just kind of starting from the beginning with one another. There's definitely private conversations that have happened that haven't included us, which in my opinion, as much as I love to like watch these love stories unfold and people come together, connections form on Bachelor, Bachelorette, Bachelor in Paradise, I do think that couples thrive better when their relationship is kept between them and it's not necessarily in the public eye. I think when you have a relationship in the public eye, you open it to a lot of opinions, a lot of scrutiny. So I would have never seen this coming, but if they have decided to take things step by step, then it makes sense that they're trying to keep it low key.
Definitely. And it seems like they're just getting that closure. And I have to agree with you. After the final rose, I was like, no way can this relationship be salvaged. Because, again, like I've said many times, this isn't a case of like, oh, Rachel had a secret ex boyfriend. Again, this is a relationship that broke up from the discussion, the subject of deep rooted racism. And again, this isn't something that you can just sweep under the rug. This is a very current, relevant issue that we still unfortunately have to talk about till this day. So this isn't just some like little itty bitty tiny problem that we could just, nib in the bud and call it a day and get back together. So fortunately, it did seem like they wouldn't get back together after that episode had aired, but maybe they're just seeking that closure because, I mean, it did seem like Matt and Rachel really loved each other. Of course, on the show, I mean, they had that strong connection, which some people might not have seen, but of course, that's just between them. They know themselves the best. And it just seems like this might be just a sign of closure, maybe moving on, maybe getting back together. Again, we will just have to wait and see if there's, of course, more sightings of them in the future. And you guys, of course, let us know what you think of Rachel and Matt, if that really is them in the picture. What do you think of them getting back together potentially? What do you think of them being seen together? Please let us know in the comments below. And of course, we will get to our Q&A segment very soon at the end of this video. So make sure to leave us a comment or a question, which we will look at and answer again at the end of this video. Okay, last but not least, Peter Weber has responded to Kelley's statements regarding their split. Now, of course, Kelley had previously shared, quote, if I could put it in the best way, I think that on my end, there was a lot of non negotiables in the relationship. She also continued to say, actions kind of speak louder than words, and it takes a long time to figure that out. If there was something that I saw as disrespectful in the relationship, I would speak on it, and I was pretty vocal. Communication is huge in a relationship, and there were things where I would essentially be like, hey, this made me feel like S word, this makes me feel like this way, end quote. In a new interview with E! News, Peter says he wishes Kelley well, but reveals they are no longer speaking. He said, quote, you know, the relationship ended up not working out in the long run, and that's okay. And I learned so much from her, and I'm so thankful that came in my life, or that she came in my life. I truly want nothing but all the best things for her, end quote. All right, it seems like there was a lot of, push and pull here a little bit. And I do understand Kelley's perspective where she says, communication is huge in a relationship, and I could not agree more. So it seems like maybe they're both taking, or maybe it seems like Peter is instead taking the high road, saying, like, hey, it didn't work out. That's okay. It wasn't meant to be. But yeah, it just seems like there was more negative things that Kelley seemed to have pointed out a little bit more in her quote. So what did you think of that, Mariah?
I think Peter played it really safe. I don't think that Kelley came off classless and like she just attacked him. I don't think she attacked his character. She just kind of was very honest about, my expectations weren't being met in this way, and it's important to me. These are non-negotiables, and I don't think there's anything of an attacking nature with what she said. But I do think that Peter did the right thing by keeping it just very classy and polite in his statement. I only want the best for her, and unfortunately it didn't work out, because it would have looked really bad on him to have responded with negativity or in some type of attack, because there was an attack casted on him, in my opinion. So I think he handled it really well. I am kind of pleased that he, following what's going on with him, pleased that he made a statement in response, or somewhat in response, just because it's kind of like the closure all of us want. When one person says some type of statement about their relationship ending, we always want to know what the other person has to say about it. And now it's just kind of like, okay, they've officially moved on. They're not speaking. There's nothing there to it because he's already said it. He's already responded. So now it's over. And as much as I'm not the biggest Peter fan, I do hope that both Peter and Kelley find the right person in the future.
Right. And it's really interesting to hear when, of course, those two people speak out about a relationship ending, because it's interesting to kind of compare their statements and see what route this person went, see what route the other person went, and just to compare. So it's really interesting to kind of, dig a little deeper, kind of go through it with a fine tooth comb and really see what their perspective was and what this other person's perspective was, and to, again, compare. So I think that was a really interesting way how their statements kind of contrasted. Again, it seemed like Peter just kept it short and sweet, and Kelley went a little bit deeper, but again, wasn't nasty or demeaning to him. She was still truthful and shared her side of the story as well. Now, it looks like Peter is totally single as of right now, but there are rumors that Kelley has started dating someone new. A source previously told E! News, quote, she turned down Bachelor in Paradise because she is dating someone. Very exciting and very interesting to hear that Kelley is the one that is already in a relationship. She was pretty over it by the end of Peter's season and has been vocal in interviews, and vocal just like in her statement that we just talked about not being happy with the process. Do we think finding love on reality TV just doesn't feel like the best fit? What do you think, Mariah?
I don't think it is right for everyone. We've seen successes come from it. Like Dylan and Hannah, I think, yeah, Hannah G. I think that's correct. I follow them on Instagram because I think they are couple goals. So we've seen it work out for people. But I do think that is a small number, and not everyone, and I mean most people, can't find long lasting forever love when it's all viewed, nationally broadcasted, and everybody is giving their constant opinions and ridicule. So I don't blame her. I myself, I've never had an interest in a dating show, but I can only imagine I would be one and done, because I'm sure the process is extremely tedious. It's emotionally exhausting, mentally exhausting. So I don't blame her. And, she's already found someone new. I think that's probably the best way to find love, is not necessarily on a dating show, but I'm happy for her. I'm sure, honestly, this isn't a dig against Peter, but I feel like if Peter had an opportunity to go on another dating show, he'd be there in a heartbeat.
Oh yeah, I think Peter just loves the attention. He's like, the little sweetheart, innocent pilot guy, and I feel like he that's his brand now basically, and people loved it. And a lot of celebrities loved it too. So he's gotten a big following. So I think, the longer he can milk this, he'll take whatever opportunity he can get in this experience. But going back to Kelley, I think dating on a reality show, it's not a one size fits all type of situation like you touched on, Mariah. I think it's a very case by case how well it's done, if they're casting quality people to be your potential love interest. I think it really, really weighs on casting. And I've said this before, especially when it comes to Katie and Michelle's season. The success of the season will depend on how well these people are casted, how well the contestants are casted. So I think that's a huge component of it all. And also the public aspect as well. I mean, having a public relationship, people can barely handle a private relationship, on social media. So imagine factoring thousands and thousands of people on this national platform. People, really kind of fall through the cracks, and the relationship follows after as well. So it's just really hard. It's a hard balance. Not everyone can do it. And not everyone is unfortunately fit for it. But I mean, if you're really desperate and you just want to shoot your shot, of course, you should try it. But again, it's not a one size shoe fits all for sure. All right, you guys, we are getting to your questions right now. Send us any questions, comments, concerns, like I said, of any topic we have may discussed in regards to Bachelor Nation, because we always love to hear your guys' take on anything and everything we talk about. So get those questions in. We are so excited to hear from you guys. And oh, it seems like Mariah, you have a comment that says it is Connor, and I think it's pronounced Saley. Is that correct?
Yes, that's him. Yes, he's probably my number one like Bachelor franchise crush. So I have a boyfriend now, but Connor, if you're listening, just know that.
That's so funny. I'm happy you finally, got the closure. That is the Connor you're
Yeah,
speaking of.
I
I'll
needed
definitely have
that.
to
Yeah.
look him up. I'll definitely have to look him up and see what, the whole hype is about him. And then Nicholas comments, "Hi everyone. Hello, Nicholas. Please let us know what your
Oh,
thoughts are about any of these topics that we have may discuss." And it seems like Nicholas sent in something. They say Victoria went on the show for clout. I agree with this. I think she's just not the most genuine person, and I just really don't believe anything that comes out of her mouth post the show airing, because it just seems like a whole bunch of backtracking that's being done and victimizing herself and saying she didn't mean it, or that people should have a better sense of humor. I'm just like, I don't know. You really cannot win with this girl, and I'm just really tired of talking about her. Mariah, do you have anything to add?
yeah, I agree. That's what I thought from day one. If you show up in an actual tiara, then you're not there for love. I'm sorry. You're there for clout. You're there for the fame game. So I completely agree. And she keeps making it, just worsening her case. I feel like we touched on this. She hasn't done anything or said anything that has made us think otherwise. It's like she continues to spin this narrative that she was only there for clout and that she was the mean girl, and that she actually lives her life that way because she hasn't taken responsibility for any of her words or actions, which is just crazy to me.
For sure.
So this comment says, "I want Peter on Bachelor in Paradise." Christy, I'm not sure I agree, but that's okay. Listen, I'm not mad at anybody who is a Peter fan. I was a Peter fan at the very beginning. During Hannah's season, he wasn't my favorite, but I definitely thought he was a sweetheart, total sweetheart. I could totally see why he captured the hearts of America. So I am okay with people loving him. I wouldn't hate seeing him on Bachelor in Paradise. I wouldn't, but I do kind of think it would create more of the narrative that he is just after like as much camera time as he can get, as much attention as he can get. He already has plenty of clout, so I don't think he's necessarily chasing clout, but the attention, I think he just cannot let it go. What do you think, Hiba?
I'm not either the biggest Peter fan. I mean, I'm sure he's Very nice, but I just think he was so boring. Like he didn't really have much of a personality, and I just thought like I just really wasn't interested in his season really at all. So I caught glimpses here and there, but I just was not invested to be completely honest. All right, this next user says, again, my opinion, but I don't think Dale wanted to propose. He wanted to date and got sucked in, then freaked and ran. Okay, interesting point. I'm just confused why Dale ran back to her then. It's just so confusing, this whole relationship timeline of whether he genuinely was on the show to look for love, to fall in love with Claire, or whether he just wanted to kind of get more career notoriety for his modeling, for his broadcasting, hosting, or whatever. So I don't know. I always have had a big question mark on Dale. I really don't know his intentions, but the fact that he did run back to Claire, it just makes me confused even more about his intentions, or whether or not he was done kind of getting all the public followers and attention from his relationship with Claire. So I really don't know what else to say, but we're just gonna have to see in the long run whether this will actually work out longevity wise. So yeah, this is a very confusing relationship, which I really can't say more to. What do you think, Mariah?
Yeah, I mean, I honestly haven't been the biggest Dale fan from like day one because he struck me as a guy who said everything that he thought we would want to hear from a man. And that immediately just kind of rubbed me the wrong way. I definitely was one to say that he was there for the clout. Um, Going back to Claire, maybe there was genuine love, a genuine connection there, and maybe they just wanted to revisit that. And maybe the pressure of a proposal is no longer weighing on him because they've already kind of recentered their relationship and the expectations of that. Or maybe he got tired of people claiming that he was only in it for the clout. I don't know. So whatever it may be, they do seem happy, like they're on the right track. So I'm not a big believer in going back to a relationship once it's ended because I think it ends for a reason. But that's probably the cynic in
I
me.
agree.
So Jessica commented, Bachelor in Paradise is a redemption from Bachelor or Bachelorette for love. Yeah, I totally agree. And that might be why I like it so much. It's the opportunity for the women of the Bachelor or the men of the Bachelorette to take control because they don't really have a lot of control. If the lead doesn't like them and doesn't have that connection with them, then they have more of a chance of getting sent home. Thus, they don't get the chance to fall in love. But it definitely gives them the power to create relationships with people. So I think that's probably why I like it so much. And then again, I think I touched on I get tired of like one couple. I don't really see it for them. So I want to see them match up with somebody else. And I get that with Bachelor in Paradise. What do you think, Eva?
For sure. For sure. I think like we said, I wanted Brie, I wanted Heather on there just for them to get their second shot, and I think it's maybe a better chance that they might find love because it isn't this one specific lead's journey of finding love. It's all about intermingling and just a whole bunch of different storylines with Bachelor in Paradise. So I think that's why it might increase people's chances of finding love because everyone's just kind of doing it for their own kind of own gain, not necessarily for that one lead that we always see for Bachelor and Bachelorette seasons. So again, I'm all for anyone, wanting a second shot. So I think, yeah, this it will be a good season, and I'm sure a lot of fans are excited for this year's Bachelor in Paradise, of course. All right, next person we have is Natalie, and she says, I want Brittany on Paradise. Now, I'm not familiar with who Brittany is. Maybe Mariah, you're a little bit more familiar because, again, I don't really watch Bachelor in Paradise, but I'm definitely going to start this year, this season. Now, what do you think about Brittany potentially being on Paradise, Mariah?
If okay, so Brittany, I believe, is the woman who came in a little bit later on Matt's season and then was immediately rumors were starting about her being an escort. So
Oh,
she
okay.
had a really, really rough go of it. And I love that, Natalie. I'd love to see Brittany on Paradise because she got the worst experience out of probably everyone because she didn't get to have any control over the narrative that was created about her. So I would love to see her go on there and have an opportunity to find love because she really just once she entered, she never had a chance. And she was probably the saddest, like story to watch unfold because it was just so unfair. So yeah, I'd love to see her on Bachelor in Paradise. Beautiful girl too.
Yes. Okay. I now remember who Brittany is. And yes, I think she would be a really, really good contestant to possibly be on. I think, yes, she had her basically her reputation ruined on national TV.
Yeah.
And I think this would be a really good redemption story for her. And it seems like Bachelor in Paradise runs on a theme of redemption. So I think Brittany would be a really, really good option for this year's season. So hopefully we'll see her on there. All right.
Yeah.
Now, this next user says, I love Brie, such a classy and beautiful woman. I agree with you. I love Brie. Like I said, I love her style. I love everything about her. She's such a classy person, so intelligent as well. And I think, again, hopefully we might see her on Bachelor in Paradise. I think again she would be a really good contestant as well. She hits all the criteria, just like Brittany as well. And again, she really, got the short end of the stick on Matt James' season, unfortunately. I mean, Matt did not know what he lost out on. But yes, I think Brie would be a really good option for Bachelor in Paradise as well. What do you think, Mariah?
Well, yeah. And I think I mentioned in another episode, Brie, we all know she quit her job to really explore love with Matt, and it didn't work out. So, of course, I'm sure she's had plenty of opportunities since the show has aired because she's beautiful, she's extremely intelligent, she's got so much style. And she's just very engaging. So I hope to see her on Bachelor in Paradise so she can, again, finally have a fair shot at love and an opportunity to really connect with someone. We've had some great men in the past that I think she could really, really connect with. We should think about this sometime and try and matchmake. We can have an episode where we're gonna matchmake all of the potential women and men going on the next season of Bachelor in Paradise, and then after the show airs, we'll kind of like revisit the topic and see how wrong or right we were. That could be an interesting topic for the show.
Wait, I love that. It's kind of like we do little brackets, like as if we're doing March Madness or something, but it's Bachelor
Yes.
couples
Yeah.
instead.
Oh, I love that. We're gonna bet on it and everything.
Let's do it.
I do love Brie though. I hope to see her again. I think I loved her. I did love her from the very beginning. And then towards the end, I think I knew she was going to be going home, but I really didn't want her to because I loved her so much. But I think it came down to like it was either going to be her, Michelle, or Rachel. And
Hmm.
I loved Michelle and I knew Rachel wasn't going home, so I knew it was going to be her. So sad.
Right.
So Mary commented, I remember fans say Ashley, I, and Jared have no chemistry on the show, and her response was edited out. I will not believe Victoria. Um, like you won't believe that Victoria didn't have a connection with Matt. I guess I'm confused. I'm not as familiar with Ashley, I, and Jared. What about you, Hiba?
No, me neither. I'm not too familiar of who they are. But it seems like Victoria is involved, so I'm not sure what she might have said to kind of counter that. So again, I'm not too familiar, unfortunately. Sorry, Mary.
Yeah, I mean, I will say though, she says, I will not believe Victoria. Victoria is hard to believe. So I don't think you're entirely wrong there. I kind of already take your side with that alone. I'm not saying she's a bad person. She just kind of makes it hard to believe everything that she says. Definitely interesting that she went on the podcast and said that she didn't feel like she had a connection or a physical connection with Matt because on the show, almost 100% positive that she talked about how she had a strong connection with him. So very interesting.
All right, this next user says they look very cute together. All right, I'm not sure who you guys are talking about. Oh, I'm assuming Matt and Rachel, if that is confirmed to be them. And I mean, again, they might look cute, but it's really about did they solve all the issues of the reason why they actually broke up? I mean, again, it's just so hard to say whether this was really about closure or really getting to see if there was any potential of a relationship being able to kind of be reconciled. So again, it's really hard to say with just a picture and not necessarily any like interview or statements or clear visuals of them, holding hands or really being together. So it's really hard to say, but I mean, of course, They're both good looking together, but it's really about what work have they put into the relationship to truly make it successful. What are your thoughts, Mariah?
I mean, I think they're both attractive people, but this may be a hot take. I think it's their relationship is so interesting to me because you have such a wide range of people saying like they look so cute together, and then such a wide range of people saying I don't see it. And I am definitely the latter. I have never seen Matt and Rachel. Like I've never thought, "Oh my god, what a cute couple. They have so much chemistry. They have such a great time together." Like yes, they obviously had a good time together on the show. That was evident. We saw that, but I never thought, oh, he has such a better connection with Rachel than literally anybody else. So I'm not the biggest Rachel Matt supporter. However, if the love is there and they're both willing to work through this very challenging time together, then the initiative is there. And initiative is so important for couples to really move forward. So, regardless, I'm rooting for each of them individually and maybe potentially together.
Good point. Exactly. Whether or not they end up together, as long as they both learn from this relationship, Rachel specifically, and, hopefully they end up being mentally healthy because this really put them through the ringer, especially poor Matt. I mean, of course, we saw him physically, mentally just completely drained on after the final rose. Again, the nonverbals really spoke volumes between these two. So, again, very surprising to see them back together, or meaning, in a picture together if it is them, allegedly. So we'll definitely have to see, if we see any more sightings of them together or not. All right. So again, let us know if you guys have any other more questions in regards to any of the topics that we discussed today. And don't forget to leave a comment, like this video. And it seems like that's all we have to share with you guys for now. As always, we want to know your thoughts. So again, tell us down in the comments below what you think about Bachelor in Paradise returning for this summer, the start of Katie's Bachelorette season. What are your guys' expectations? And also, please give us thoughts on Peter and Kelley's breakup. Lastly, don't forget to follow us on all our socials. Please subscribe. As always, ring the bell because we'll be back with more news updates and reactions. I'm Hibba Berry, joined today by Mariah Davis, and we'll see you guys next time. Bye.